Hi everyone! In this video I'm going to go through some more advanced and really useful Pandas data frame capabilities. So to start off, I'm going to download this data file, which is the same one that we used in the first video. Has data about some movies. I'll save it in my CSCI 127 Summer 2020 folder. And then I'll open up idle. And just like in the first Pandas video, I'm going to make sure that I can open that data file in the Python shell in order to use it interactively. So to do that, I'm going to import the Python package OS for operating system. Then I can call functions like get cwd, which is current working directory, which shows me that this Python shell is running in my home directory, users Lucy Williams documents, but I know that I downloaded my data file into my CSCI 127 folder, which is users Lucy Williams and then that folder name. So to get there, I will call change directory, I believe. So I'm going to just copy this string right here and edit it. I believe this is CSCI 127 Summer 2020. And now when I call this, my new current directory is that CSCI 127 folder. And now if I want to read in that file, read in CSV to a data frame, what do? I say data, that's the variable that I'm going to save my data frame as. Data gets whatever pd.read underscore CSV of what is my file name. It is imbd1000.csv. And now let's, of course I need to import pandas as pd before I can do this. And now I can call data equals pd.read CSV of imbd1000.csv. And now I can do something like data.dtypes to see, just like we did in the previous video, I can see my column names. I can do something like data.head to see my first few rows. I can look at the shape of my data, which tells me that I have 979 rows and 6 columns. But let's take a look at some of these commands that are listed in the second reading. So the first one is value counts. So I could imagine that I am interested in knowing for each genre how many movies had that genre. So to do that, I can use the value counts method. So what happens when I call it? So I see that I think there's actually a mistake on the website here, which I will fix, but value counts actually needs to be called on only one column of our data frame. So for example, if I say data, let's get back to here. So data, what is a column name that we're interested? It's genre. And now I can call value counts. And what I'll get back is another sort of series here. I can ask, what is the type of data genre dot value counts? So I'm asking here, what is the type that is returned by calling value counts on one of the columns of my data frame data? And I see that it's a series. That is one of these columns that has some extra data like these labels. But I can see that now I know that there were 278 rows in my data frame that were dramas, 156 that were comedies, and this will always come back to us sorted. And so if I wanted to ask what was the second most popular, as in occurred the most times, movie in the data set, how can I do that? Well, I could just say, oh, not popular movie. What I actually want to say is, what was the second most popular, most frequent genre of movie in the data set? So that's what I want to ask. And how would I find that out? Well, one way is to get that value count series, which will always be sorted. I do that by calling the value counts method on that column. And then what could I do? I want the thing in the second position. So let me go ahead and run that. Oh, not the second position, of course. The first position. And so this actually gives me not the movie, but this gives me how many times it occurred. But if I want the actual movie name, I can take advantage of the fact that this series has an index, right? Let's take a look. What's the index of this? The index is the list of all of these labels. And so if I really wanted the name of the second most frequent genre, then I would want to do something like data at genre.valueCounts, get its index, and now I want the thing in the 1 position. So that's the second one. And I finally see that it's comedy. And indeed, here we have comedy in the second position with 156 entries in our data frame. Now, another thing that we might be interested in doing is just sorting the values of a column. So here, we did get a sorted list back, or a sorted series back, but this had the counts of each genre. But let's say we just wanted something like, let's take a look at let's look at what columns do we have. Sometimes we have to remember what columns we have. So let's take a look at the duration column, because that's a numeric column, something we could sort. And now let's say I just wanted this to be sorted instead of unsorted. So now I would say data at the column duration, sort, and let's just take a look back. What was it? Sort values. And here we can see that I get this sorted series, but it is ascending, so it goes from smallest to largest. And let's say I wanted this to be largest to smallest. I believe I can pass in the parameter ascending equals false, and now this will go the other way. We can also use sort values on the entire data frame. If, say, we wanted a data frame sorted by duration, so we don't want to just look at the duration column, we want our entire data frame sorted, let's say, starting with the longest movie and going down to the shortest movie. What would we do? We can use data.sortValues, and we pass in this parameter by, which identifies which column we should sort by. So in our case, we would like to sort by duration. And I said we also want this to go largest to smallest. So that's descending, so ascending should be false. Let's take a look at this. And here we see that before, or our actual data frame data, let's take a look at that. So this is data, has star ratings sorted largest to smallest. And now it looks like we have reordered our data frame, but of course we don't see a very good view of it. So let's try this again. Ascending equals false. And now how could we look at only, let's say the star rating column and the duration column? We can use our fancy indexing here, where we pass in a list of the column names that we would like to include. So this is going to include only the star rating and duration columns. And now we see that, yes, this sort values call has sorted the data frame by duration in descending order. So the final thing we're going to cover in this video is the group by command. So let's say I wanted to know something like, what is the average duration for movies in each movies by genre? Or something like, what is the minimum star rating for movies, again by genre, but we could look at, let's look at what are our columns again, data.dtypes. Probably genre is going to be our best thing to group things by, because there'll be a lot of movies with the same genre. So if I want to answer this question, what is the average duration for movies by genre? There is I would say, a very descriptive method of data frames that is going to be data.group by. And this asks us to pass in a column name. So we're interested in grouping by the genre column. And this is going to return to us a data frame group by object. And so we can save this as genre group by, for example. So now we're setting the variable genre group by to be this group by object. And then we can call things like let's see, we were interested in average. Maybe it's mean? Oops. Oh, it's not. This, I had a dot instead of a underscore. So my variable is genre group by, and I want to ask it for the means. And this returns to me actually the means for each genre in all of the columns, all of the numeric columns. So if we remember, our two numeric columns are star rating and duration, and those are the two that it makes sense to compute a mean for, right? And so what is this saying? Let's look at the action genre. The average, the mean star rating is 7.88, and the average duration is 126.48. So we can see some interesting things here, like maybe what is our highest rated Genre, well, Western, it looks like, is the highest rated genre. And if I just wanted one of these columns, let me go ahead and copy this. How would I get that? I would just use my index operator, and let's say I was only interested in the duration. I would pass in that column name, and now I see the mean duration for each of the... Now let's say instead I was interested in not the mean, but the sum. So let's go ahead and try that out. Oops. I would like to paste. Okay. So I'm copying this over, but I want the sum instead of the mean. Well, all I need to do is, instead of calling mean on my group by object, I want to call sum. So let's take a look at that. And here we see these sums of durations per genre. So that is an introduction to some sorting and aggregating functionality within Pandas. If you have any questions, please ask in Slack.